Welcome to the West Ham Fans Premier League Roundup. Sorry that it's been so late. I am actually recording this on the second minute of added time on the 90th minute of the Newcastle AC Milan game, where it's still 0-0. Probably one of the most underwhelming games. The final ball in this game, Jesus fucking Christ, from both teams. AC Milan probably would have deserved it overall due to their first half performance, but I think both teams in the second half have been really, really bad. And Newcastle genuinely they look like they've been playing like 5 games a week. Obviously, this game's not over when I'm recording it. Trippier's just made a massive tackle on one of their players. But we're going to get into the West Ham Fans Premier League Roundup. This is just a Premier League Roundup show. We're just going to talk about other teams. The main topics of the show. This show will be a bit shorter, hopefully, than usual. But obviously, the main two teams that quite a headline that didn't win was Man United and Chelsea. We're going to start with Man United because they're a fucking mess. More statements than wins, more scandals than wins, and Eric Ten Hag is under more and more pressure. And when you're at Manchester United, you're going to be under more pressure anyway. But this is getting ridiculous. Obviously, the whole Sancho thing. Apparently, Sanchez refused to apologise. I don't know what the apology would be for. Specifically, maybe it's for the whole training thing. But either way, it's like, we don't know what's going on between Ten Hag and Sancho. But if we're talking the Sancho thing, you either go with, okay, if we're not going to sign with Ten Hag, we're probably going to go with player power and another manager will leave. Or if we're going to take go against Sancho, we don't know why we're actually going against Sancho. Is it actually training or is it something different? Because he's claimed to be scapegoated. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any like development in that story. There's not really much to say about that story still. I know, ironically, all of their leaks that have come from Manchester United have all of a sudden just come like straight away. Straight after the whole Sancho thing. And to be honest, it just seems a bit ironic. Or just a bit of a coincidence, excuse me, that these things that Sancho was unhappy after the Chelsea game in October last year and all this after the Sancho thing has happened. It just seems too much. It seems like an in-house thing where there's just too many leaks, where the whole boardroom upstairs needs to be revamped at Manchester United to stop all of the leaks. This is why you don't see that at Manchester City yet. Even a Chelsea, who may not be doing bad right now, but there's not many leaks until a manager actually gets sacked. Until like Graham Potter got sacked, we didn't hear anyone's opinion on him until after he got sacked, when we found out that apparently players were making jokes about Harry Potter and all this, and they didn't really have the respect for him. You don't really see that at clubs. We haven't seen that at like Arsenal for a while because they're doing good, and it just feels like if a big team is doing bad, it's always going to come out these kind of things. Obviously, the whole Anthony thing is a bit weird. So we'll see what happens on that. I'm going to try and refrain from talking about those kind of things with the Anthony stuff, the Greenwood stuff, and stuff like that, because it's off the pitch issues, and it's like, unless it's something more in-house like the Sancho thing, I won't be talking about it. But that thing is a factor in that. That's like two right wingers, two players that can play right wing that have gone. So Eric Ten Hag decided to go with a diamond in midfield, and it just okay. A diamond in midfield is a formation that I actually miss a lot when watching it, but it's too. When I watched it on Game of the Day, it just didn't look right. Them playing it, they didn't start off bad, of course, but what's it like with Wan-Bissaka coming on in the 85th minute and getting injured as well? Is a bit of a crisis, and them losing 3-1 to Brighton, it's not a shock, but it is a shock that they've lost at Old Trafford now, because the last time Man United lost at Old Trafford in the Premier League was against Graham Potter's Brighton, I'm pretty sure, because they lost to Sociedad. I'm trying to think all competitions. I think that was it. And so it's not become a fortress anymore. It was on the way to becoming a fortress again, but listen, the streak has been broken, and Brighton were passing it around with no pressure, and some of these players are Manchester United, such as the Bruno Fernandes's and the Marcus Rashfords. And I won't say Luke Shaw because he didn't play, but Luke Shaw wouldn't have made a difference to this game. I'm gonna put Maguire in this as well. I'm gonna give you a group of players that I'm gonna say no. Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes. De Gea's left. Lindelof has to be in this, and what I'm about to say. Scott McTominay and other players are there, and other players have left. Like people like Fred have left. People like De Gea have left. But the players that I mentioned have been part of a few batterings at Manchester United, and it doesn't make. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that it's the same group of players that what's it called? That have been part of these batterings, and it just feels like you need to be more ruthless at this club. Is Ten Hag been given a license to be more ruthless at Manchester United? That doesn't really. I'm trying to think if he is, because there's no structure. Like, I don't know who their director of football is. I was thinking about this. It's like, or the technical director, or whoever's higher. At West Ham, obviously, I'm a West Ham fan. I know Tim Steidten. At Newcastle, Dan Ashworth is one of the recruitment guys. At Man City is Tixi Bergen something. Chelsea, it's Paul Winstanley, is it? Or is it someone else? Arsenal, it's Edu and all these guys. And they have a structure at least. Some of these teams have structures, and the best teams that, well, not even the best, just the best teams, the most cohesive teams in the league, in the world, especially when it comes to big clubs, they have a whole structure in place. And it just makes you think that Ten Hag, I didn't take it serious when a lot of people go at Ten Hag for saying you're just signing players for the Dutch league and all this. I was like, okay, sometimes you need players that you know to trust you. And that was in his first season, I would have trusted him with that. But we're in his second season, and he is still picking players that he knows. Like he knows from either the Dutch league, and that's it really. Like Onana is from the Dutch league. Mason Mount was at Vitesse. Other players were just in the Dutch league, just roaming about. Malacia was at Feyenoord. Like, to me, it doesn't really make much sense, because if you get a director of football in, like when Klopp had like Michael Edwards, it's always like an example. Like, you're actually backing your manager that way. And I'm not sure Man United are serious in backing someone. It doesn't feel like they're serious. It feels like, get the fans off our back for a season and just let us ride the wave a bit. People are catching on now. People are truly catching on to probably the bullshit that is happening at Manchester United. And we've just spent 8 minutes on Manchester United, but like, you need a whole change of players. Like, people like Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford, they'll go on streaks and have certain abilities and are passionate about the club, or they've come through the academy. They always get a pass in terms of PR. Luke Shaw hasn't done anything in 8 years, and fair enough, he was injured for 2 of them. But overall, he's just not good enough. Neither is Lindelof. I don't know how Lindelof is still there. Lindelof is still there, by the way. We knew that Lindelof was a problem when playing with Maguire, and he's still bad playing without him. Players that were doing good last season, such as Lisandro Martinez and Casemiro, are not doing as good. I think they're leaving Casemiro out to dry. And I think Lisandro Martinez just hasn't been good. It's not the Martinez we saw last season, and everything just seems like a mess. I don't think we should be saying that Lisandro Martinez is bad centre back. Getting dragged out to wide areas definitely needs to be being talked about, definitely, for sure. I think a lot of people just wanted him to fail because he was small anyway. But at the same time, he had a really good season last season. Man United fans overgas everyone. I think he's really good. I wasn't going to overgas him. And he's performing like shit this season. And it's the most Man United thing, by the way, to get a defensive midfielder from Real Madrid and make him look like he's never played football before. And we need to look at Manchester United that they've ruined talents. Pogba, Martial. These are two other talents. Like, Jadon Sancho is another one. Like, when you sign players for big names like Depay, even if we're going that far back, if we're going to... who else? Like, Matic was better. Like, Matic just didn't look the same to Nemanja Matic when he went to Man United. Like, none of these players do good at Manchester United. Like, none of them. None of these players do good at Manchester United because it's probably the fault of Manchester United. Like, they just don't know how to build around players or anything like that. But I'm going to stop at Man United because there's another team that's, to my happiness, underperforming. And that's Chelsea. Listen, I don't know what the fuck's going on at Chelsea. But they don't have anyone that can shoot properly apart from Sterling. They're still playing Colwill at left back. After finally putting Chilwell out of the winger position. And to be honest with you, I don't really understand what Pochettino's doing, because they were playing so well in pre-season. They were linking up, letting them play attacking football, etc. I'm not seeing them play quick football. I'm just seeing sideways football. They have a lot of injuries, that should be said, but spending £1 billion at one game a week, listen, like there's no excuses this season. They didn't just get Caicedo; they got Caicedo and Lavia. Unfortunately, both of them are injured, and apparently Lavia will be out for weeks. And they gave the captaincy to Reece James, who's injury prone, and Nicholas Jackson and Amanda Broja as your strikers. I like Amanda Broja, and I'll give Jackson a chance. But there is a debate to be had whether they can give you 20 goals a season, or if you're not going to have someone that's going to give you 20 goals a season to try and get the Champions League, everyone has to chip in with goals. And wouldn't it just make sense to play Sterling, Palmer, Mudryk, Chilwell left back? Even if Chilwell isn't playing well, play Maatsen there then. And then I guess play this Leslie dude. There's a guy who's a French guy called Leslie. I never thought I'd see the day. And Enzo Fernandez in the pivot. And maybe not Conor Gallagher. By the way, that Leslie guy is actually looks like a really good player. He looked really comfortable. He was actually one of the few players that actually played well against Bournemouth. And to Bournemouth's credit, they were a team that went for it as well. You can see what Bournemouth are trying to do straight away. And if I can see what Bournemouth are trying to do straight away, if I can see what Tottenham are trying to do straight away, there's no excuses for Chelsea and Man United. Ten Hag, especially in this is his second season now. And with Pochettino, he needs to get a style of play instantly for me. If you're that good as a manager, you will know what you're trying to do. Right now, I don't know what they're trying to do. Apparently, I haven't seen the full quotes, but apparently he ended up trying not to give up the draw. Now, I get away from home. Yeah, it's hard away from home, but you'd think, as if you're trying to be the Chelsea Football Club, that you really want to be the win instantly club, you should be beating Bournemouth away from home. But let's give credit to Bournemouth as well. Like, I think Bournemouth looks slightly better overall. Neither team finished their chances, to be honest. But this Nicholas Jackson guy isn't better than Dominic Solanke. I don't think he is. And it's a bit of a worry. For Chelsea, but for Bournemouth, I think once they get all their players fit, the Alex Scotts, the Tyler Adams, they'll have a more balanced. Not only will they have a more balanced midfield, they will just look better on the eye, more controlled. They've got good fullbacks, Milos Kerkez and Max Aarons, and both young, want to get up and down. Sometimes they'll go inside, but when I see teams play like an inverted fullback, for example, like an Arsenal, for example, like their wingers usually get 3v1'd. When I see Bournemouth do it, they're tucking in now and then they'll go outside to help their wingers. You don't have to go fully inverted all the time, like just overlap sometimes, like I get it, you're trying to dominate the midfield, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes people just end up passing sideways to the wings anyway. They can't find it through, so they just pass backwards. It's becoming too much. It's becoming more of the same from different teams nowadays. But Chelsea, yeah, they didn't beat Bournemouth. And that might not surprise people, but yeah, they should still be beating Bournemouth at the end of the day. Now, to round off the weekend, some of the big games, Everton lost again. Sean Dyche under pressure. Sheffield United lost again. Paul Heckingbottom under pressure. Paul Heckingbottom making good points about referees telling him to play out, or telling him to knock it long. What are the referees doing in that case? Usually a referee shouldn't be telling managers what to do, and they should have some common sense, but credit to Paul Heckingbottom for calling them out. But at the end of the day, also, you lost 2-1, lad. Right at the end, you bottled it. And Tottenham did well from what I saw in the highlights on Match of the Day. They pulled through really well. Richarlison scoring, which I think shocked everyone. But credit to him, he's trying to get the therapy and all that stuff and trying to come back. And he's equalled his tally from last year, so let's see if he can count on that. He also did have an injury last year, but I don't think in that Conte system anyone was scoring goals. To be honest with you, when we saw what happened with Son last year. And the North London derbies this weekend. So let's see what happens there as well, because I think Arsenal will win because they're at home. And usually the team wins at home, even though Arsenal won away from home last season. But I don't think Tottenham will win away from home. I think a lot of people are rightly giving Ange Postecoglou his credit, because West Ham United faced them. My team faced them on their first game of pre-season, and you saw instantly what he was trying to do, the style of football he was trying to play, the positions everyone was taking up. It made so much sense straight away. And if you're a coach and you're able to get that into your players straight away, and none of these guys are your players, and these guys have been shit under so many different managers over the past few years, ended up bottling everything for Tottenham, and you can do that as a coach, then that's how good he needs to be looked at as a coach. Going into Aberdeen, by the way, if you're a Man City fan watching this, I talk about you on the aftermath. I don't talk about West Ham games on this channel. I'm trying to think. I don't have the games on my screen this time, but from what I remember, I don't think there's any more games to really talk about. Oh yeah, the Wolves-Liverpool one. I've got to give credit to Mohamed Salah, man. I watched that just before our game, and what a performance from Mohamed Salah. The creative role is really paying off, and the way he's just automatically just playing those through balls, and the goal I think it was the assist for the Robertson goal was just so casual. It was so casual. He just did it with ease, and that's quality being shown. And obviously Newcastle edged the game against Brentford. The Forest Burnley game was very controversial. A lot of refereeing decisions, but I don't want to talk about that anymore. That is it for the West Ham Fans Premier League Roundup. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're on the road to 200 subscribers. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me, in the email for the inquiries. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.